As the 2026 NFL Draft approaches, the Philadelphia Eagles find themselves at a fascinating crossroads. The landscape of the league has shifted, the roster is transitioning, and the draft, to be held in the historic football city of Pittsburgh, represents the primary engine for sustained success in the post-2025 era. Examining the current roster construction alongside Matt Miller's 7-round mock draft provides a deep dive look into how Executive Vice President/General Manager Howie Roseman and the front office might navigate the complex needs of this franchise. The Eagles have long been defined by a trench-first philosophy, prioritizing the defensive and offensive lines above all else. However, with shifting schemes and aging veterans, the 2026 draft requires a delicate balance between immediate, plug-and-play starters and long-term developmental projects. The selection of Akheem Mesidor at 23rd overall addresses the most glaring vacancy on the Eagles' defense. The departure of Haason Reddick a few years ago, followed by the recent loss of Jaylen Phillips in free agency, has left a void in the pass-rushing rotation that cannot be filled by committee alone. Mesidor is an intriguing prospect whose evaluation is complicated by a single factor: his age. At 25 years old, he enters the league much older than the typical first-round selection. However, the tape from his time at Miami suggests a player who is already operating at a professional level. During the 2025 season, Mesidor was arguably the most consistent force on the Hurricanes' defensive line, even when playing alongside the highly touted Ruben Bain. While many analysts suggested Mesidor benefited from the double teams drawn by Bain, a closer look at the film reveals that opposing offensive coordinators were often more concerned with Mesidor's technical proficiency. He finished his final collegiate campaign with 5 sacks and a staggering 58 pressures. His hand usage is among the best in this class. He possesses a pro-ready punch and a repertoire of counters that allow him to disengage from tackles quickly. Under defensive coordinator Vic Fangio, the Eagles utilize a hybrid 3-4 system that demands versatility from its outside linebackers. Mesidor fits this mold perfectly. Unlike some pure speed rushers who struggle when asked to drop into a zone or hold the edge against a pulling guard, Mesidor has the frame and the football IQ to play multiple roles. He is sturdy enough to play as a 4-3 defensive end, but possesses the functional athleticism to drop into the flat in Fangio's creeper pressures. The debate surrounding Mesidor's age is valid. Typically, a first-round pick is expected to be a 10-year cornerstone. With Mesidor, you are essentially drafting a player for his prime years immediately. From a management perspective, this isn't necessarily a negative. The Eagles are in a win-now window. Getting a pass rusher who can contribute 8 to 10 sacks in his rookie season at age 25 is, in some ways, more valuable than drafting a 20-year-old project who may not blossom until his third season. While he might not earn a massive second contract at age 30, 5 years of high-end production on a rookie scale is a win for a team with Super Bowl aspirations. The second round brings us to a pick that serves as both an insurance policy and a potential tectonic shift in the Eagles' offensive philosophy. Drafting Antonio Williams out of Clemson at 55th overall signals a significant conversation regarding the future of the receiving corps, specifically the status of A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown has been the pillar of the Eagles' passing game, but as contract structures evolve and the salary cap becomes a puzzle of veteran deals, the Eagles must look ahead. If the front office has any inkling that Brown might be moved post-June 1st to recoup assets or clear space, a high-pedigree receiver like Williams becomes a necessity rather than a luxury. Antonio Williams is the quintessential modern at Clemson. He was a model of consistency,
it really dictates the defense.
208 catches over 4 seasons. What makes him an Eagles-type player is his grit. In the Clemson program, he embraced the no-block, no-rock mantra. His willingness to engage defensive backs in the run game is something that head coach Nick Sirianni and the offensive staff value immensely. On the field, Williams is a mismatch generator. He isn't a boundary X receiver who will win jump balls over the top of corners, but his change of direction skills in the short to intermediate range are elite. He is a yards after catch, YAC, machine, capable of turning a 5-yard slant into a 20-yard gain through pure elusiveness. Transitioning into the third round, the Eagles used the pick acquired in the Hendrick trade to address the eventual life after Dallas Goedert. Goedert has been a legendary figure in Philadelphia, consistently ranking among the franchise leaders in receptions and playoff yardage. However, as he approaches the later stages of his career, the Eagles need a protege. Max Clare from Ohio State represents a return to the classic Y tight end. While modern scouting often looks for oversized wide receivers to play tight end, the Eagles need someone who can actually block at the point of attack. Last season, the Eagles' offense suffered when Goedert was sidelined or asked to do too much, as the depth behind him lacked the physicality to assist in the run game. Clare may not have the eye-popping stats of a primary collegiate target, largely due to the receiver-heavy nature of the Ohio State offense, but his fundamentals are sound. He is a seam buster who can find the soft spots in zone coverage and has the frame to shield off linebackers. Developing him for a year or two behind Goedert would allow the Eagles to maintain their two tight end sets, 12 personnel, without a drop-off in blocking or receiving threat. The Eagles finally turned their attention to the offensive line in the late third round with Demetrius Crownover. This is a classic Jeff Stoutland/Howie Roseman stowaway pick. The Lane Johnson succession plan. Lane Johnson remains one of the premier right tackles in football, but he is not immortal. The Eagles have made a habit of drafting offensive linemen 12 to 24 months before they actually need them to start. Crownover is a massive developmental tackle with the length and footwork desired for the professional level. He doesn't need to start in 2026. He can spend a full year in the Stoutland University system, refining his technique and adding functional strength. If the Eagles pass on a tackle earlier in the draft, it also signals a massive vote of confidence in the 2025 rookie class, players like Drew Kendall and Miles Hinton. If those players have shown growth in practice, the Eagles can afford to wait until the end of the third round to add a specimen like Crownover. Perhaps the most polarizing pick in this mock draft is Cole Payton. Drafting a quarterback in the fourth round when you have a franchise centerpiece like Jalen Hurts often raises eyebrows, but it follows the quarterback factory philosophy that the Eagles have championed for decades. Tanner McKee is entering the final year of his deal, and the Eagles always want a cheap, high-upside developmental arm on the roster. Cole Payton is a fascinating study. A left-handed dual-threat quarterback out of North Dakota State, a program with a storied history of producing NFL talent. Payton brings a different dynamic to the room. His stats at the FCS level, 16 touchdowns to 4 interceptions, are efficient, but it's his rushing ability that stands out. With over 700 rushing yards and 13 touchdowns on the ground, he can run the same +1 run game that the Eagles use with Jalen Hurts. If Hurts were to miss a series or a game, the offense wouldn't need to be completely overhauled for a stationary pocket passer. He is a project, certainly, but one with the physical tools to be a high-end backup or a valuable trade chip in 3 years. Continuing the trend of fortifying the interior, Jake Slaughter is a pick that aligns with the team's shift toward an outside zone blocking scheme. Technical proficiency. Slaughter stands at 6 feet 5 inches, which is tall for a center, but he uses that leverage well. Coming out of the SEC, he has faced the highest level of interior defensive line talent in the country. He is noted for his ability to sustain blocks on the move, a requirement for the zone-heavy system the Eagles are transitioning toward under the new coaching staff. This pick would provide immediate competition for the backup center spot and pressure the 2025 draftees to perform. In the fifth round, the Eagles look to the secondary with Michael Toff. The Texas safety is a classic overachiever who rose from a walk-on to a foundational piece of the Longhorns' defense. Ball skills and instinct. Toff is known for his nose for the ball. While he may not possess 4.3 speed, his diagnostic skills allow him to play faster than his time drills. He is a turnover generator who understands spacing and timing in the deep half of the field. Furthermore, his connection with former teammate Andrew Makuba provides a level of secondary chemistry that is rare to find in a mid-round pick. For an Eagles team that has struggled with consistent safety play outside of Reed Blankenship, Toff offers a high-floor rotational player who can contribute on special teams immediately. To wrap up the draft, the Eagles go back to the trenches with the Godfather, Dante Corleone. The interior anchor Corleone is a massive human being who specializes in one thing: eating blocks. In a division where the run game is still a priority, having a rotational nose tackle who cannot be moved by a single blocker is invaluable. He won't provide much in the way of a pass rush, but on 1st and 10 or 3rd and short, he is a brick wall. Adding him to a rotation that includes Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter allows the Eagles to keep their premier athletes fresh for passing downs. The 2026 mock draft, as presented by Miller, suggests an Eagles team that is acutely aware of its mortality. By drafting an older, pro-ready edge rusher in the 1st round, they're signaling that the time to win is now. By taking a wide receiver and a tight end in the next 2 rounds, they are preparing for a future where the current stars, Brown and Goddard, may no longer be the primary options. The mid to late round picks focus on the Eagles' way, investing in the lines and taking flyers on high character, high IQ players like Toff and Slaughter. Key takeaways: defensive urgency. The 1st round pick of Mesidor shows a refusal to let the pass rush stagnate. The A.J. Brown factor. The Antonio Williams pick is the biggest tell of the draft. It hints at major roster moves on the horizon. Scheme evolution. The shift towards zone-blocking linemen, Slaughter, and versatile edge rushers, Mesidor, reflects a coaching staff that is fine-tuning the system to meet modern NFL trends. This draft isn't about finding one superstar to save the franchise. It's about a surgical replenishment of the depth chart to ensure that the Philadelphia Eagles remain the gold standard of the NFC East for the remainder of the decade. As the picks are read off in Pittsburgh, the focus will be on whether these prospects can handle the pressure of one of the most demanding sports cities in the world. Based on the scouting reports, these 8 players possess the Philly toughness required to succeed.